Hi, Amaya. It is Thursday, January, 23rd, 2025. And I want to talk about the restraint of pen and tongue. Judgment, I guess. There's a lot going on in this January of 2025 on many levels, all the way down to my tiny little world. And in that world, of course, true to form, exists some political differences that that has been agreed upon not to be spoken about. And when people are upset, I don't know that they remember the restrictions that they put up. I think when people make those kind of declarations and say, I'm never going to speak to you about this, or I don't want to talk about this for a certain amount of time, I think their intention is to punish you, the receiver. And when it's accepted by the receiver, they don't understand that the restrictions on them too. It's not just a one-way rule or request. So then it becomes difficult. Do you call them on it? Something you yourself didn't want to talk about? It all just feels like bait. Like no matter, even if you say you don't want to talk about it, or the other party will push it because they do. And so restraint of pen and tongue was also an outward suggestion. It's not something that I thought of myself. This was introduced as a helpful tool, and yet is not being utilized by everyone. And then I run into the idea that it's like a judgment. I'm judging them for what feels like a judgment at me. I mean, as a for instance, I don't know, it's very confusing, but it's almost like there's no way to ask for silence anymore. Even for myself, I don't think I ask for enough silence to think through a fair number of things. I feel very reactive, which isn't a cool place to come from all the time, you know? There is, of course, judge not lest ye be judged. Okay, judge me. Go ahead. I didn't want to do the judging. I guess it's about hypocrisy, which is very detestable all the way around. And I've suggested hypocrisy over the many years. It's been rejected, and then other people bring it up like it's some magnanimous thought they just invented, and they're all about not enjoying hypocrisy. And it's like, wow, what a hypocrite. But if I say that out loud, isn't that judging? My goodness. I don't understand where the art of self-defense comes into this, because a lot of it is accusatory. And then some of it I react to like it's an accusation, when it really wasn't, because I'm just used to it, and so I weirdly expect it, and that's also a judgment. Ugh. Guess I just need some time to think. I feel so muddled. I know that I can ramble on, and I try to stay on subject, but sometimes I'd like to change the subject because I'm uncomfortable, and like in a real life conversation, it's almost easier to change the subject to a lighter conversation than it is to settle things over text messages, especially these days. They have no inflection. Text messages are sometimes read or received in whatever attitude someone's having. I guess voicemails are better, but harder to access, so people text. I'm not sure how you could add inflection in that. And then I think of emojis and this adorable moment many years ago in the early 2000s. I had a smiley face sticker on the trunk of my vehicle. It was a smiley face. Emojis were very, very new. And this young boy and his mom walked past with my trunk open, and he smiled and he pointed and he said, "I love your smiley face emoji." And I loved it, and I also instantly wanted to correct him. And then I realized that that was not cool, and I didn't do it, thank goodness, but I do remember my first thought was to kind of school him on how old the smiley face is and how it was around before you guys. That was not it's not the spirit of the smiley face. So I just said thanks, and he smiled, his mom smiled, and they walked off into the store. And I remember kind of cocking my eyebrow at myself, thinking, why did you want to correct him? He was so happy. And thankfully, I did not. Anyway, judgment, right? It can be an emoji to him. It's actually a smiley face sticker I had to get custom made because no one would make it large enough to put on my trunk. These stickers are made for your windows. Well, I didn't want it on my window. I wanted it on my trunk. It was a weird adventure to get that sticker, and then quite a compliment from that young man. I sometimes wonder if he still remembers that day. The first time he saw some old person using an emoji on their car, you know. I love it. Great memory. So yeah, as far as judging things, just take a second, I guess, is the answer. I mean, we already knew that. Everybody kind of knows that. You have to do it. You have to engage it. Apply it. I guess especially when you feel reactionary, but what started this was a shared text message of some upsetting thing regarding the new presidential proceedings, and it's very easy to pick up the phone and look up any other source and find that that is not true, that there's all kinds of ways to double check that. But when you want to be upset, it's quite easy to find upsetting things. And so I was kind of turning that idea on myself. As much as I wanted to lash out, I too don't want to talk about politics, and so I'm not gonna take the bait. I'm not gonna answer the random shared things from media sources. I'm not gonna. I don't have to. I don't have to. Because, you know, truthfully, not in a defeatist way, but I don't matter in a way where I have to know that stuff. Due diligence and vetting aside, getting worked up about something very easily debunked is kind of wearing out my buttons. It makes you not want to pay any attention to the next thing you're so frantically bringing up to me. I mean, if I could live my vibe, I'm a chill person. I'm a cabin in the mountains till I run out of water kind of person. I find it emotionally easy to become invested in other people's what do you call it, frantic thoughts, and then you find out that they're just hyper and you feel exhausted, used up. I don't have a lot of batteries, so when I use it up, it's used. And I'm not even really solar powered, so I'm not sure how long it takes to regenerate sometimes. I suppose it's kind of fitting that I was born and raised in California, because sometimes I feel it's very easy to have that relaxed surfer, okay dude kind of attitude. And so, and easily expected from others that I should act that way, so maybe I should use it more often. But yeah, the restraint of pen and tongue. It sounds cryptic, it sounds dismissive, it sounds simple, it sounds doable, it sounds undoable, all at the same time. But fundamentally, judge not, lest ye be judged. So unless you're ready for that, just keep some reserve. I'm not sure, though, where judgment and protection come in, because I guess for myself, I often feel kind of anxious, and I know that I am single and alone when I'm in public a lot, and maybe not an unreasonable I've kind of always been that way, but it wasn't till recently that I've been made to feel that any kind of way about it. So I'll just keep doing my protectional due diligence and not add another layer because someone else suggested it. Anyway, a frustrating circular argument that I guess doesn't really have an answer because it's circumstantial. So like, I suppose if I feel that a text message means a certain thing, call them up, ask them what's up, or try to read it to myself 2 different ways, or it's like in this particular instance, stand my ground. I refuse to speak about it, just like you suggested in the beginning, other side of this conversation, and I'm gonna do that. In my head, it's more of a tortoise and the hare thing. I am the tortoise. Not in the I will be the winner way, but I can hold out longer than most people I know. I can stand my ground, keep my promises, do those things. And not in a bragging way. I don't feel like it's unachievable for others. It's simply my observation, and they can join me any moment and do their thing. Again, no judgment. I just noticed that that's a strength I have, is I can stand my ground for a long time. Not a king of the mountain thing. Join me, anyone. It's a good tool to have, so. Emotional tricks are a thing, especially if you know you fall for them. Somehow keep an eye out without developing a weird kind of, I don't know, paranoia, for lack of a better word. I don't have much more to say about it. I do hope I've remained neutral enough to not be pointing fingers, but still kind of help unravel this particular situation. It comes up not just with family, it comes up with anyone. Really, I mean, I don't feel alone, I just don't have the answer. So, I'll just try to understand that even judgmental sounding people probably will change their mind with a little bit of more information. That with these phones everywhere, it seems so easy to find, but it's so frustrating. No one seems to use it. They just kind of walk around with their questions and hardly ever ask the phone. Anyway, oh, I snorted. No editing. Okay. Have a good night. Judge not, lest ye be judged. And accept that when you do, you will be. I mean, yeah. Rant over, I suppose. See you tomorrow. Good night.